What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, Season 1 for Black Ops 6 is indeed dropping today. And if you guys are interested in seeing my first impressions before we make content about it on the YouTube channel, I will be live today at 11 a.m. Eastern Time over on Twitch. I actually have a link to that channel down in the description of this video. Again, tune in, say hello. We also host open lobbies, and I'm going to be giving you guys my first impressions before we dive deep into the actual videos. But I gotta be honest with you guys, today we are going to be discussing the patch notes, and they actually look pretty decent. I'll be real with you guys. If you guys know, or been watching me for a while now, you know that I have been highly anticipating Season 1 for the patch notes, because I want to see personally if the developers are going to make actual meaningful changes, or if they're just going to, kind of roller coast throughout the game and just hyper-focus on the data, what people are using the most and, what needs to be nerfed based off. No. I want to see that they're playing the game and they actually know what needs to be fixed within the title. And like I said, there is a lot of good things in this update, but there are a couple of others that worry me, which I'll be discussing more towards the end, but I can't waste too much time here, ladies and gentlemen. We have to dive right in because there are a ton of things that we must go ahead and discuss here as a community. First and foremost, the brand new game mode that's coming in with Season 1. And don't forget, guys, we are getting 3 maps right out the gate, but again, you guys already know the content drop that's coming. I wanted to hyper-focus the changes and stuff like that, but there are a few other details that I want to hyper-focus here, like Ransack. Ransack sees you looting gold bars from crates dotted around the area of operations on 6v6 maps. Once gathered, secure your loot by bringing it back to your team's stash. And you can also go ahead and steal the opponent's loot. So once they go ahead and stash some of the stuff, you can go to their actual stash and steal it and bring it back to yours. Cool sounding game mode. I actually like how that sounds. And believe it or not, they're actually bringing it in aftermarket parts. As you can see right here, the buffer weight stock, the XM4 burst fire conversion, and the compact 92 burst fire conversion as well. I'm not going to read them off. You guys can pause the video and see for yourselves because, again, there's a lot of stuff we have to go ahead and discuss. But I'm happy about this. Now, these things are going to be coming in season as event rewards, so I'm assuming it's not going to be like the weekly challenges we got during Modern Warfare 3, but still, it's going to be nice to have some different variations of the current weapons that we have within the game that will make it feel like there's more content, right? There's already a decent amount of content in my personal opinion, but that's what I loved about the blueprints in Modern Warfare 3 is that it kind of doubled to quadrupled the amount of content that we already had within the game, and they didn't even have to add in new weapons. All they did was add blueprints to the weapons that completely changed, well, not blueprints, but aftermarket parts that completely changed the vibe of the gun and made it something different. So, all of this stuff is phenomenal. Next up here, the new multiplayer perks. We're going to be getting Shadow, Strategist, undetectable to enemy traps and mines. This is going to be cool. Now, you're not going to be able to, see them through walls, but they're just not going to, trigger when you walk over them, which is not too bad of a thing. Right here is going to be a big one in my opinion, the spawns. Spawn logic updates across several maps to reduce the chances of spawning near enemies. Adjusted start spawns and subsonic to prevent damaging opposing enemy team at match start. Now, both of these are really good. I'm just curious if they're going to actually feel better, though. I'm very curious about this. Now, I'll be honest, I've been playing a lot of 10v10, so I don't really notice the spawns too much anymore because it's just, pure chaos. I just kind of expect it. But in 6v6, I'm really hoping that this will improve the overall vibes because I can't tell you how many times I spawn right next to people on massive maps like Vorkuta or, Red Card. And I'm like, this map is huge. How am I even here right now? That must be resolved. So hopefully they can get that under control. But next up here, ladies and gentlemen, are the weapons. Now, this is where I'm a little mixed because I like what I see and I like what I hear. But when we dive deep into some of the weapons, it concerns me on how they're balancing them out. And again, if they know what's going on with the game. But again, like I said, overall, it's not shabby, but we'll get there. Weapons. Throughout the preseason, we have seen a steady and healthy variety of weapon usage. Most weapons sit quite closely in both performance and pick rate, with no weapons dominating in both areas. As such, our first round of Season 1 tuning changes will not be introducing any major shifts to the current state of weapon balance, and instead focus on elevating some of the weapons at the bottom of the pack. We're also addressing feedback regarding assault rifle damage in hardcore and completing our adjustments to the shotgun slug attachment. This is absolutely huge. I love the way that they worded this, but again, we will see how this pans out. I like that they're coming in with the approach of not necessarily nerfing everything in the game, but kind of leaving it as it is and focusing on the guns that aren't being picked. Because I don't want to stop picking some of the guns in this game. The AK is phenomenal in this game. I don't want them to nerf it and make me not pick it. I want them to buff some of the other guns up to, encourage me to pick other items. That's all that we're really asking for. And I think this is a step in the right direction here. I like their mindset. But before we actually get into the nerfs and the buffs, I do want to mention that I believe that the reason their stats look the way they do and people aren't really, overpicking or, underpicking is the fact that prestige system is in the game, right? I feel like once season 1 drops and we get blueprints for guns and we're able to use whatever gun we want when we start, prestiging, we will start to see more metas form because there are a lot of crazy weapons in this game that I don't see quite frequently just yet, but that's only because they're so hard to get and people are prestiging. So they're not really focusing on, using these overpowered monstrosities. But again, we'll dive deeper into that a little bit later. But let's begin with the XM4 here. As you can see, they went ahead and buffed up the damage a little bit, and they kind of did this across the board with all of the assault rifles. But as you can see at the very bottom, additional adjustments, headshot multiplier reduced from 1.3 to 1.15. And the attachment adjustments, CHF barrel attachments, headshot multiplier reduced from 1.42 to 1.25. Again, very interesting changes. I don't really necessarily understand why they're reducing the headshot multiplier and upping the damage. It's very strange because this game really does feel like they don't want people landing headshots, but it is what it is. Same thing with the aims here. You see, got a little bit of a damage increase with basically the same thing. They're reducing the headshot multiplier. Moving on here, the GPR, that got a damage buff. But once again, they did a few other tweaks here. The headshot multiplier, sprint to fire improvements, which is phenomenal. Tactical sprint to fire time improvements, phenomenal. And slide to fire time improvements, once again, phenomenal. Guys, this is really good. And they did dive to fire time improvements. Now, this is what I want to see for the GPR. I'm still concerned about the headshot multiplier because in my opinion, that's what makes the GPR a lot of fun is that, I don't think it's as consistent as other rifles, but when you land headshots, it feels good. But they're reducing it, but they're increasing the damage. So again, we'll see. We will see how this pans out. Once again, Treyarch made it very clear that they're not trying to massively change anything because everything is kind of settled in a good spot. So I think this is good. I don't think it's going to really affect how the damage is with the GPR, but the improvements to the movement speeds will probably make it a higher picked weapon, which is what I'm hoping for here because it's a fun gun, but nobody ever uses it. And this is what Treyarch is trying to do. They're trying to bring, exciting features to the guns that aren't used to make people use them more. So I think those are good adjustments. And then as you can see here, the Goblin MK2, it says like the GPR 91, we are making some small initial adjustments to the Goblin MK2 to help it shine as the fastest semi-auto primary. All movement speeds improved by 0.01, and they say yes, every little bit matters. Sprint to fire time improved from 180 to 175, and tactical sprint to fire improved from 290 to 285. I think this will help a lot because, realistically, you're supposed to run and gun with this bad boy, but it's in a very awkward spot. So I'm hoping that these improvements will make it, once again, a higher pick because you'll be able to be a bit more mobile. But only time will tell, ladies and gentlemen. They also went ahead and adjusted the Compact 92. Now, they didn't really do too much to this weapon besides going ahead and improving the headshot multiplier, improved it from 1.05 to 1.1. Basically, the only reason they made this change is to go ahead and make it, more consistent in hardcore mode. So you're probably not going to see too many differences in core. But I think it's a pretty good gun. I think it's very slept on, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Next up here, we're going to be moving over to the marksman rifles. And they said, as you can see here, we are adjusting handling stats on the burst rifles so that they fit more squarely into their intended roles. The SWAT 5.56 has a slower fire rate within each burst and more recoil, making it better suited for mid-range engagements. Meanwhile, the AEK 973 has better stability and precision, but a longer burst delay, making it a riskier pick when playing aggressively. We're also significantly reducing the power of the AEK 972 rapid fire, which was too strong not to take. Now, again, I'm a little concerned because, I'm just going to showcase it to you guys. I think the SWAT 556 adjustments are good. The aim down sight speeds improved, sprint to fire times improved, tactical sprint to fire times improved, all that good stuff, man. And also, they made some slight adjustments to the rapid fire attachments. Nothing too crazy, though, so hopefully the SWAT will be used a bit more. It's supposed to be the aggro marksman rifle. But right now, in its current spot, the AEK is the best gun in the game. And it's not a long-range weapon, okay, ladies and gentlemen? This thing is made for up-close and personal engagements. Now, they destroyed it when it came to the rapid-fire attachment. I mean, I don't even have to read them all. If you guys can just see them right there. Like, the burst-fire delay increased from 115 to 295. Like, they are butchering the gun with the rapid-fire attachment. But this right here is where my concern comes in. They only increased the sprint to fire time from 205 to 215 and the tactical sprint to fire time from 315 to 325. Now, again, this is why I said in the beginning of the video, I'm slightly concerned But this can be outstanding, when the update drops and we can finally try it out. When I can get hands-on and truly see, then, only then I could tell if this was a good change or not. But I gotta be real, I don't know if that's going to be enough. The AEK is so dominant in Black Ops 6 right now, with the capability of one-bursting anybody. It's great that they nerfed the rapid-fire attachment. I'm all for it, to kind of encourage people to be a little bit more distant with the weapon, but it doesn't matter. The people I go up against, they're running and gunning with this thing. They're up in your face, and they're one-bursting you all the time, point blank. I even with the SMG, it's hard to compete against an AEK. So I'm curious if this is going to actually maintain this weapon and make it be what it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? More of a medium to long range engagement weapon, which it should still be able to be countered by other, weapons, especially when you take it up close and personal. So I'm hoping that it's enough of an increase to the sprint to fire time. So, when people are running and gunning and they're up in your face, if you have an SMG or let's say a Val or something like that, you can still up your gun quicker and get into the action. I'm hoping that, that's going to be the case, but only time will tell. It's one of my little concerns, but I want to know what you guys think down in the comment section, if you think I'm overreacting to this concern, or do you completely agree with me? Next up here, we actually have a little mention of the snipers. We have been monitoring feedback on sniper rifles and are making some changes to promote more build diversity and improve the sniping experience before gaining access to a complete attachment set. We are lowering the baseline flinch on all snipers and reducing the flinch resistance given by stock attachments. The resulting received flinch values are much lower up front and just a bit lower overall after equipping the stocks. We're also increasing aim walking movement speed bonuses on stock attachments to make those choices more valuable. Lastly, we are improving the ADS idle sway delay by default on all snipers, meaning that on average, there will be less deviation from your point of aim when entering ADS. Our goal is to support the various sniping playstyles you all enjoy through several viable weapon builds. We will continue to monitor weapon and attachment data, as well as your feedback to ensure that all sniping playstyles are fun and rewarding in Black Ops 6. This is great, right? One of the biggest concerns was the fact that when you ADS, your sight is not center screen. It's always, off in some random distant land. This was resolved back in Modern Warfare 3. I don't know why it was reintroduced back into Black Ops 6, but at least it's being resolved. This is great news, and I think snipers are going to be really happy with this, along with a little bit of a flinch reduction. I don't know. I've always been one who, kind of enjoys the sniper flinch because it, gives it more of counterplay to the one-shot snipers in games like COD or X-Defiant, anything that has a fast time to kill. But again, I'm not going to judge this until I actually play it. So I'm not going to talk about that. We'll see how it turns out. And maybe snipers will be able to enjoy this game a bit more because I know they've been really struggling with Black Ops 6. It hasn't been the easiest one to get, their hands on. And as you can see right here, sniper rifle class adjustments. All snipers now have 1 second of 50% idle sway scaling at the beginning of aim down sight. And all snipers have had base flinch resistance improved by 17%. And, you guys can see right here for the LW3A1, they did a ton of different changes for the aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speeds, ADS idles, sway, all that stuff, man. They were turning up. Honestly, I think that the snipers might be much more viable after this update, but again, we'll see. Moving on to the SVD, this has me concerned, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be honest, this is another thing that left me a little worried. First was the AEK that I'm a little concerned about, but the SVD, this thing is really disgusting. For those who don't know, this thing is a demon machine, but like I always say, I feel like Treyarch is going based off of data right now, so they don't really see the true potential just yet. But when people slow down from prestiging and they just start unlocking more weapons, or they get more blueprints and they have the, weapons available to them more frequently, and they start testing things out more frequently, I think, stuff like this is going to get abused because this thing is already nasty enough, but it caught no nerfs, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely no nerfs. Introduced a delay after firing before a new shot can be queued. This does not change the rate of fire, but prevents accidentally firing extra unintended shots when repeatedly pulling the trigger, which again, I don't know. If anything, maybe, adding a little bit more of a, fire rate decrease might be the way, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to talk too much on that until we play with it and we see. But, sprint to fire times improved, tactical sprint fire, all that stuff. Not by much, but still, it's an improvement to a gun that's already really, really solid in the right hands. But again, we'll see. And the LR762, you know, all this, pretty much the same stuff, guys, right? Basically, all the snipers caught a buff. So, again, I think snipers are going to be in a pretty happy spot right now. But let's move on to another one of my concerns when it came to these patch notes, the perks. I do not see a sign of recon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, they did do some, you know, good things here, especially the one with, you know, the ninja footsteps. They're readjusting them. But no recon. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, the 0.5 seconds, I guess, is, you know, it's decent, but, you know, it still allows us to use the perk the exact same way that we've always been using it. At the end of the day, I'm just going to abuse it until they finally stop, you know, letting that cheese in the game, right? And honestly, I encourage everybody to do the same thing until everybody starts complaining about it. Every single person in this game should literally use all recon perks so we can all abuse the wall hacks 24/7 and we can all run artificial matches, because that's basically what it's going to boil down to once the majority of the really good players starts, you know, picking it up more and more and more. But that's just my personal, you know, take on all that stuff. Let me know what you guys think down below. Again, I don't want to ramble your guys' ears off too long because, you know, it's already a pretty long enough video. But, you know, so far, 3 concerns, but a good update. And then, obviously, the score streaks got fixed up. The Archangel addressed an issue where the rocket would sometimes explode immediately when firing near a wall. Glad that's resolved, because it made me actually, you know, take off the score streak. That was absolutely obnoxious when that happened. And after all that stuff, it's just more general bug fixes, so on and so forth. But, guys, not a bad update, right? Like, seriously, when it comes down to the patch notes, not shabby. I like their idea about the weapons and how they're going to go about balancing them, although I am concerned still about, you know, a few of them that might need to be rebalanced again, but it depends after we play with it and we see how, you know, it's been tuned. The perks, you know, I'm really sad about recon, but it is what it is, you know. I think that overall, it's not a shabby update. It's going to come along with, you know, 3 maps at the launch, along with, you know, game modes and just a lot of content. I think it's going to be solid. I think that people are going, well, not everybody, but, you know, the people who are indeed enjoying Black Ops 6 right now and want to play Black Ops 6, I think that they're going to be pleasantly pleased. Now, for anybody else who doesn't like it because of skill-based matchmaking and all that stuff, there's none of that's getting resolved. I'm sorry. You know, if you don't like it, then this is definitely not going to be the game for you, probably ever, unless you hop into 10v10. I'm telling you guys, 10v10 is where it is at. It really is. I've been doing it since Modern Warfare 2019. I'm going to continue to do it until the day I die, man, or when COD is done and over with. That is how you break the matchmaking the majority of the time. But, you know, I think that it's going to be a solid update that got some solid changes. I have to play it and see if my concerns are going to be worse or not. And I feel like that's how my next video is going to pan out here. If my concerns are not bad and, you know, it seems that all these fixes are good fixes, I'll probably have a pretty, you know, positive commentary. But, you know, if these changes are rough and we still have really bad metas going on here and, you know, toxic stuff happening, we'll see. We'll see. But overall, I don't think that's going to happen. If you want my real view of it, I don't think I'm going to end up like that. I feel like I'm going to be pretty pleased with the overall update, especially when it comes to the content that we're about to get. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. We post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern time. And of course, if you guys want to go ahead and check out my live stream when I, you know, check out Season 1 today, I will be live today at 11 a.m. Eastern time over on Twitch. Got a link to that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all next one. Peace out.